Advice to a Girl by Sarah Teasdale. Read for Librivox.org by Anne Simmons. No one worth possessing can be quite possessed. Lay that on your heart, my angry young dear. This truth, this hard and precious stone, lay it on your hot cheek. Let it hide your tear. Hold it like a crystal when you are alone, and gaze in the depths of the icy stone. Long, look long, and you will be blessed. No one worth possessing can be quite possessed. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
After Apple Picking by Robert Frost. Read for Librivox.org by Winston Tharp. My long two-pointed ladder's sticking through a tree toward heaven still, and there's a barrel that I didn't fill beside it, and there may be 2 or 3 apples I didn't pick upon some bough. But I am done with apple picking now. Essence of winter sleep is on the night, the scent of apples. I am drowsing off. I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight I got from looking through a pane of glass I skimmed this morning from the drinking trough and held against the world of hoary grass. It melted, and I let it fall and break, but I was well upon my way to sleep before it fell, and I could tell what form my dreaming was about to take. Magnified apples appear and disappear, stem end and blossom end, and every fleck of russet showing clear. My instep arch not only keeps the ache, it keeps the pressure of a ladder round. I feel the ladder sway as the boughs bend, and I keep hearing from the cellar bin the rumbling sound of load on load of apples coming in. For I have had too much of apple picking. I am overtired of the great harvest I myself desired. There were 10,000 fruit to touch, cherish in hand, lift down and not let fall. For all that struck the earth, no matter if not bruised or spiked with stubble, went surely to the cider apple heap as of no worth. One can see what will trouble this sleep of mine, whatever sleep it is. Were he not gone, the woodchuck could say whether it's like his long sleep as I describe its coming on, or just some human sleep. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ballad of My Lady's Beauty by Joyce Kilmer. Read for Librivox.org by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. Squire Adam had 2 wives, they say. 2 wives had he for his delight. He kissed and clipped them all the day, and clipped and kissed them all the night. Now Eve, like ocean foam, was white, and Lilith roses dipped in wine. But though they were a goodly sight, no lady is so fair as mine. To Venus some folk tribute pay, and Queen of Beauty she is hight, and Saint Marie the world doth sway in ceruled napery bedight. My wonderment these twain invite, their comeliness it is divine, and yet I say in their despite, no lady is so fair as mine. Dame Helen caused a grievous fray, for love of her brave men did fight. The eyes of her made sages fey, and put their hearts in woeful plight. To her no rhymes will I indite, for her no garlands will I twine. Though she be made of flowers and light, no lady is so fair as mine. Prince Eros, lord of lovely might, who on Olympus dost recline, do I not tell the truth aright? No lady is so fair as mine. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Coin by Carl Sandburg. Read for Librivox.org by Penelope Greenwell. Your western heads, here cast on money, You are the two that fade away together, partners in the mist. Lunging buffalo shoulder, lean Indian face. We who come after where you are gone, salute your forms on the new nickel. You are to us the past. Runners on the prairie, goodbye. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Coming into Port by Max Eastman. Read for Librivox by Lars Rolander. Our motion on the soft, still, misty river is like rest and like the hours of doom that rise and follow one another ever, ghosts of sleeping battle cruisers loam and languish quickly in the liquid gloom. From watching them your eyes in tears are gleaming, and your heart is still and like a sound. In silence is your stillness in the streaming of light-whispered laughter all around, where happy passengers are homeward bound. Their sunny journey is in safety ending, but for you no journey has an end. The tears that to your eyes their light are lending shine in softness to no waiting friend, beyond the search of any eye they tend. There is no nest for the unresting fever of your passion, yearning, hungried, vain. There is no rest nor blessedness forever that can clasp you quivering and pained, whose eyes burn ever to the unattained. Like time and like the river's fateful flowing, flowing though the ship has come to rest, your love is passing through the mist and going, going infinitely from your breast, surpassing time on its immortal quest. The ship draws softly to the place of waiting, all flush forward with a joyful aim, and while their hands with happy hands are mating, lips are laughing out a happy name. You pause and pass among them like a flame. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Cousin Nancy by T.S. Eliot. Read for Librivox.org by Lubet. Miss Nancy Ellicott strode across the hills and broke them, rode across the hills and broke them. The barren New England hills, riding to hounds over the cow pasture. Miss Nancy Ellicott smoked and danced all the modern dances, and her aunts were not quite sure how they felt about it, but they knew that it was modern. Upon the glazed shelves kept watch Matthew and Waldo, guardians of the faith, the army of unalterable law. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Disabled by Wilfred Owen. Read for Librivox.org by Algie Pugg. Perth, Western Australia. He sat in a wheeled chair, waiting for dark, and shivered in his ghastly suit of grey, legless, sewn short at elbow. Through the park voices of boys rang saddening like a hymn, voices of play and pleasure after day, till gathering sleep had mothered them from him. About this time town used to swing so gay, when glow lamps budded in the light blue trees, and girls glanced lovelier as the air grew dim, in the old times, before he threw away his knees. Now he will never feel again how slim girls' waists are, or how warm their subtle hands. All of them touch him like some queer disease. There was an artist silly for his face, for it was younger than his youth last year. Now he is old, his back will never brace, he's lost his colour very far from here, poured it down shell holes till the veins ran dry, and half his lifetime lapsed in the hot race, and leap of purple spurted from his thigh. One time he liked a blood smear down his leg, after the matches carried shoulder high. It was after football, when he'd drunk a peg, he thought he'd better join. He wonders why. Someone had said he'd look a god in kilts. That's why. And maybe, too, to please his Meg. Aye, that was it, to please the giddy jilts he asked to join. He didn't have to beg. Smiling, they wrote his lie, aged 19 years. Germans he scarcely thought of, all their guilt, and Austria's did not move him, and no fears of fear came yet. He draught of jewelled hills for daggers in plaid socks, of smart salutes, and care of arms, and leave, and pay arrears, esprit de corps, and hints for young recruits, and soon he was drafted out with drums and cheers. Some cheered him home, but not as crowds cheer goal. Only a solemn man who brought him fruits thanked him, and then inquired about his soul. Now he will spend a few sick years in institutes, and do what things the rules consider wise, and take whatever pity they may dole. To-night he noticed how the women's eyes passed from him to the strong men that were whole. "How cold and late it is! Why don't they come and put him into bed? Why don't they come?" End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Farmer Remembers the Psalm by Vance Palmer. Read for Librivox.org by Jennifer Randall. Will they never fade or pass, the mud and the misty figures, endlessly coming in file through the foul morass, and the grey flood water ripping the reeds and grass, and the steel wings drumming? The hills are bright in the sun. There's nothing changed or marred in the well-known places. When work for the day is done, there's talk and quiet laughter and gleams of fun on the old folks' faces. I have returned to these, the farm and the kindly bush and the young calves lowing. But all that my mind sees is a quaking bog in a mist, stark, snapped trees, and the dark Somme flowing. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Grandmother's Toy by an unknown author, quoted by Sabine Baring-Gould in his book Curiosities of Olden Time. Read for Librivox.org by Jennifer Wigginton. I was just 5 years old that December, and a fine little promising boy. So my grandmother said, I remember, and gave me a strange-looking toy. In its shape it was lengthy and rounded. It was papered with yellow and blue. One end with a glass top was bounded, at the other a hole to look through. "Dear Granny, what's this?" I came crying. "A box for my pencils? But see, I can't open it, hard though I'm trying. Oh, what is it? What can it be?" "Why, my dear, if you only look through it, and stand with your face to the light, turn it gently, that's just how to do it, and you'll see a remarkable sight." "Oh, how beautiful!" cried I, delighted, as I saw each fantastic device, the bright fragments now closely united, all falling apart in a trice. Times have passed, and New Year's will now find me, each birthday, no longer a boy, Yet methinks that their turns may remind me of the turns of my grandmother's toy. For in all this world with its beauties, its pictures so bright and so fair, you may vary the pleasures and duties, but still the same pieces are there. From the time that the earth was first founded, there has never been anything new. The same thoughts, the same things have redoubled, till the colours have palled on the view. But, though all that is old is returning, there is yet in this sameness a change, and new truths are the wise ever learning, for the patterns must always be strange. Shall we say that our days are all weary, all labour and sorrow and care, that its pleasures and joys are but dreary, mere phantoms that vanish in air? Oh, no, there are some darker pieces, and others transparent and bright. But this, surely, the beauty increases. Only stand with your face to the light, and the treasures for which we are yearning, those joys now succeeded by pain, are but spangles just hid in the turning. They will come to the surface again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. Read for Librivox by Alison Valdez. Part 1. The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The road was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He'd a French cocked hat on his forehead, a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of the claret velvet, and breeches of brown doeskin. They fitted with never a wrinkle, his boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jewelled twinkle, his pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle, under the jewelled sky. Over the cobbles he clattered and clashed in the dark inn yard, and he tapped with his whip on the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. And dark in the dark old inn-yard a stable wicket creaked, where Tim the ostler listened. His face was white and peaked, his eyes were hollows of madness, his hair like mouldy hay, but he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter. Dumb as a dog he listened, and he heard the robber say, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart, I'm after a prize to-night, but I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." He rose upright in the stirrups, he scarce could reach her hand, but she loosened her hair in the casement. His face burnt like a brand, as the black cascade of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed its waves in the moonlight. Oh, sweet black waves in the moonlight. Then he tugged at his rein in the moonlight, and galloped away to the west. Part 2. He did not come in the dawning, he did not come at noon, and out of the tawny sunset, before the rise of the moon, when the road was a gypsy's ribbon looping the purple moor, a red-coat troop came marching, marching, marching. King George's men came marching up to the old inn door. They said no word to the landlord, they drank his ale instead, but they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of her narrow bed. Two of them knelt at her casement with muskets at their side. There was death at every window, and hell at one dark window, for Bess could see through her casement the road that he would ride. They had tied her up to attention with many a sniggering jest. They had bound a musket beside her with a barrel beneath her breast. Now keep good watch, and they kissed her. She heard the dead man say, "Look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." She twisted her hands behind her, but all the knots held good. She writhed her hands till her fingers were wet with sweat or blood. They stretched and strained in the darkness, and the hours crawled by like years, till now on the stroke of midnight, cold on the stroke of midnight, the tip of one finger touched it. The trigger at least was hers. The tip of one finger touched it. She strove no more for the rest. Up, she stood up to attention, with the barrel beneath her breast. She would not risk their hearing. She would not strive again. For the road lay bare in the moonlight, blank and bare in the moonlight, and the blood of her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her love's refrain. Tlot tlot, tlot tlot, had they heard it? The horse hoofs ringing clear. Tlot tlot, tlot tlot, in the distance. Were they deaf that they did not hear? Down the ribbon of moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The redcoats looked to their priming. She stood up straight and still. Tlot tlot, in the frosty silence. Tlot tlot, in the echoing night. Nearer he came and nearer. Her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment. She drew one last deep breath. Then her finger moved in the moonlight. Her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. He turned, he spurred to the west. He did not know who stood, bowed with her head o'er the musket, drenched with her own red blood. Not till the dawn he heard it. His face grew grey to hear how Bess, the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched for her love in the moonlight, and died in the darkness there. Back he spurred like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky, with the white road smoking behind him, and his rapier brandished high. Blood red were his spurs in the golden noon, wine red was his velvet coat, when they shot him down in the highway, down like a dog on the highway, and he lay in his blood on the highway, with the bunch of lace at his throat. And still of a winter's night they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, a highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. A highwayman comes riding up to the old inn door. Over the cobbles he clatters and clangs in the dark inn yard. He taps with his whip on the shutters, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Homeland by Dana Burnett. Read for Librivox.org by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. My land was the West Land, my home was on the hill. I never think of my land, but it makes my heart to thrill. I never smell the west wind that blows the golden skies, but old desire is in my feet, and dreams are in my eyes. My home crowned the highland, it had a stately grace. I never think of my land, but I see my mother's face. I never smell the west wind that blows the silver ships, but old delight is in my heart, and mirth is on my lips. My land was a high land, my home was near the skies. I never think of my land, but a light is in my eyes. I never smell the west wind that blows the summer rain, but I am at my mother's knee, a little lad again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
If by Rudyard Kipling. Read for Librivox.org by David Lewis Richardson. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream, and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build 'em up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings, and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Have a Rendezvous with Death by Alan Seeger. Read for Librivox.org by Winston Tharp. I have a rendezvous with death at some disputed barricade, when spring comes back with rustling shade and apple blossoms fill the air. I have a rendezvous with death when spring brings back blue days and fair. It may be he shall take my hand and lead me into his dark land, and close my eyes and quench my breath. It may be I shall pass him still. I have a rendezvous with death on some scarred slope of battered hill, when spring comes round again this year, and the first meadow flowers appear. God knows 'twere better to be deep-pillowed in silk and scented down, where love throbs out in blissful sleep, pulse nigh to pulse and breath to breath, where hushed awakenings are dear. But I've a rendezvous with death at midnight in some flaming town, when spring trips north again this year, and I to my pledged word am true, I shall not fail that rendezvous. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I'm Nobody, Who Are You? By Emily Dickinson. Read for Librivox.org by Charlie Harrison. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair of us, don't tell. They'd banish us, you know. How dreary to be somebody. How public, like a frog, to tell your name the livelong day to an admiring bog. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Incidents in the Life of My Uncle Arlie by Edward Lear, read for Librivox.org by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. Oh, my aged Uncle Arlie, sitting on a heap of barley through the silent hours of night, close beside a leafy thicket. On his nose there was a cricket, in his hat a railway ticket, but his shoes were far too tight. Long ago in youth he squandered all his goods away, and wandered to the Ten-Scoop Hills afar. There on golden sunsets blazing, every evening found him gazing, singing, "Orb, you're quite amazing! How I wonder what you are!" Like the ancient Medes and Persians, always by his own exertions, he subsisted on those hills, whilst by teaching children spelling, or at times by merely yelling, or at intervals by selling Propter's Nicodemus pills. Later, in his morning rambles, he perceived the moving brambles something square and white disclose. 'Twas a first-class railway ticket, but on stooping down to pick it off the ground, a pea-green cricket settled on my uncle's nose. Never, never more, oh, never did that cricket leave him, ever. Dawn or evening, day or night, clinging as a constant treasure, chirping with a cheerious measure, wholly to my uncle's pleasure, though his shoes were far too tight. So for 43 winters, till his shoes were worn to splinters, all those hills he wandered o'er, sometimes silent, sometimes yelling, till he came to Borley Melling, near his old ancestral dwelling. But his shoes were far too tight. On a little heap of barley died my aged Uncle Arley, and they buried him one night close beside the leafy thicket. There his hat and railway ticket, there his ever faithful cricket. But his shoes were far too tight. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth, read for Librivox.org by Ravenous Addict. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth to me the show had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Love and Poetry by Margaret, Duchess of Newcastle, read for Librivox.org by Katie Hernandez. O love, how thou art tired out with rhyme! Thou art a tree whereupon all poets climb, and from thy branches every one takes some of thy sweet fruit which fancy feeds upon. But now thy tree is left so bare and poor that they can scarcely gather one plum more. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. Read for Librivox.org by Elizabeth Klett. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels, and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells, streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window-panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window-panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house, and fell asleep. And indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window-panes. There will be time. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be time to murder and create, and time for all the works and days of hand that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you, and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions, and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of a toast and tea. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. And indeed there will be time to wonder, do I dare? And do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair, with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say, how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, but how his arms and legs are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions which a minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all, have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room. So how should I presume? And I have known the eyes already, known them all, the eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase. And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the butt ends of my days and ways? And how should I presume? And I have known the arms already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and white and bare, but in the lamplight downed with light brown hair. Is it perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table or wrap about a shawl? And should I then presume? And how should I begin? Shall I say, I have gone at dusk through narrow streets, and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt-sleeves leaning out of windows? I should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas. And the afternoon, the evening sleeps so peacefully, smoothed by long fingers, asleep, tired, or it malingers, stretched on the floor, here beside you and me. Should I, after tea and cakes and ices, have the strength to force the moment to its crisis? But though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head, grown slightly bald, brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no great matter. I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short, I was afraid. And would it have been worth it after all, after the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me, would it have been worth while to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll it toward some overwhelming question, to say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all? If one, settling a pillow by her head, should say, that is not what I meant at all, that is not it at all. And would it have been worth it after all, would it have been worth while, after the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets, after the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor, and this and so much more, it is impossible to say just what I mean. But as if a magic lantern threw the nerves in patterns on a screen, would it have been worth while, if one, settling a pillow or throwing off a shawl, and turning toward the window should say, that is not it at all, that is not what I meant at all. No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. Am an attendant lord, one that will do to swell a progress, start a scene or two, advise the prince, no doubt an easy tool, deferential, glad to be of use, politic, cautious, and meticulous, full of high sentence, but a bit obtuse, at times, indeed, almost ridiculous, almost, at times, the fool. I grow old, I grow old. I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back, when the wind blows the water white and black. We have lingered in the chambers of the sea, by sea-girls wreathed with seaweed red and brown, till human voices wake us, and we drown. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Madonna of the Evening Flowers by Amy Lowell. Read for Librivox.org by Winston Tharp. All day long I have been working. Now I am tired. I call, "Where are you?" But there is only the oak tree rustling in the wind. The house is very quiet. The sun shines in on your books, on your scissors and thimble just put down, but you are not there. Suddenly I am lonely. Where are you? I go about searching. Then I see you, standing under a spire of pale blue larkspur, with a basket of roses on your arm. You are cool like silver, and you smile. I think the Canterbury bells are playing little tunes. You tell me that the peonies need spraying, that the columbines have overrun all bounds, that the pyrus japonica should be cut back and rounded. You tell me these things, but I look at you, heart of silver, white heart flame of polished silver, burning beneath the blue steeples of the larkspur, and I long to kneel instantly at your feet, while all about us peal the loud, sweet Te Deums of the Canterbury bells. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Martyr by Herman Melville. Read for Librivox by Alison Veldas. The Martyr. Indicative of the passion of the people on the 15th day of April, 1865. Good Friday was the day of the prodigy in crime, when they killed him in his pity, when they killed him in his prime of clemency and calm, when with yearning he was filled, to redeem the evil-willed, and, though conqueror, be kind. But they killed him in his kindness, in their madness and their blindness, and they killed him from behind. There is sobbing of the strong and a pall upon the land, but the people in their weeping bear the iron hand. Beware the people weeping when they bear the iron hand. He lieth in his blood, the Father in his face. They have killed him, the Forgiver. The Avenger takes his place. The Avenger wisely stern, who in righteousness shall do what the heavens call him to, and the parricides remand. For they killed him in his kindness, in their madness and their blindness, and his blood is on their hand. There is sobbing of the strong and a pall upon the land, but the people in their weeping bear the iron hand. Beware the people weeping when they bear the iron hand. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Mild the Mist upon the Hill by Emily Bronte. Read for Librivox.org by Nigel Boydell. Mild the mist upon the hill, telling not of storms tomorrow. No, the day has wept its fill, spent its store of silent sorrow. Oh, I am gone back to the days of youth, I am a child once more, and 'neath my father's sheltering roof, and near the old hall door, I watch this cloudy evening fall after a day of rain. Blue mist, sweet mists of summer pall the horizon's mountain chain. The damp stands on the long green grass as thick as morning tears, and dreamy scents of fragrance pass that breathe of other years. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Owl and the Pussycat by Edward Lear. Read by Damaris for Librivox.org. The Owl and the Pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a 5-pound note. The Owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. "Oh, lovely pussy, oh, pussy, my love, what a beautiful pussy you are. You are, you are, what a beautiful pussy you are." Pussy said to the Owl, "You elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married, too long we have tarried, but what shall we do for a ring?" So they sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the bong tree grows, and there in a wood a piggy-wig stood, with a ring at the end of his nose, his nose, his nose, with a ring at the end of his nose. "Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring?" Said the piggy, "I will." So they took it away and were married next day by the turkey who lives on the hill. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon, and hand in hand on the edge of the sand they danced by the light of the moon, the moon, the moon. They danced by the light of the moon. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Verses on the Painting of the Sistine Chapel by Michelangelo Buonarroti, translated by John Addington Symonds. Read for Librivox.org by Martin Geeson. To Giovanni da Pistoia. I've grown a goiter by dwelling in this den, as cats from stagnant streams in Lombardy, or in what other land they hap to be, which drives the belly close beneath the chin. My beard turns up to heaven, my nape falls in, fixed on my spine, my breastbone visibly grows like a harp, a rich embroidery bedews my face from brush drops thick and thin. My loins into my paunch like levers grind, my buttock like a crupper bears my weight. My feet unguided wander to and fro. In front my skin grows loose and long, behind by bending it becomes more taut and straight. Crosswise I strain me like a Syrian bow, whence false and quaint I know must be the fruit of squinting brain and eye, for ill can aim the gun that bends awry. Come then, Giovanni, try to succour my dead pictures and my fame, since foul I fare, and painting is my shame. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Parting by Edward Thomas, read for Librivox.org by Martin Geeson. The past is a strange land, most strange. Wind blows not there, nor does rain fall. If they do, they cannot hurt at all. Men of all kinds as equals range the soundless fields and streets of it. Pleasure and pain there have no sting. The perished self, not suffering, that lacks all blood and nerve and wit, and is in shadowland a shade. Remembered joy and misery bring joy to the joyous equally. Both sadden the sad. So memory made parting to-day a double pain. First because it was parting. Next because the ill it ended vexed and mocked me from the past again. Not as what had been remedied had I gone on, not that, oh no, but as itself no longer woe. Sighs, angry word and look and deed being faded, rather a kind of bliss, for there spiritualized it lay in the perpetual yesterday, that naught can stir or stain like this. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Preludes by T.S. Eliot. Read for Librivox.org by Lubet. 1. The winter evening settles down with smell of steaks in passageways. 6 o'clock, the burnt-out ends of smoky days, and now a gusty shower wraps the grimy scraps of withered leaves about your feet, and newspapers from vacant lots. The showers beat on broken blinds and chimney pots, and at the corner of the street a lonely cab horse steams and stamps, and then the lighting of the lamps. 2. The morning comes to consciousness of faint, stale smells of beer from the sawdust-trampled street, with all its muddy feet that press to early coffee-stands. With the other masquerades that time resumes, one thinks of all the hands that are raising dingy shades in 1,000 furnished rooms. 3. You tossed a blanket from the bed. You lay upon your back and waited. You dozed and watched the night revealing the 1,000 sordid images of which your soul was constituted. They flickered against the ceiling, and when all the world came back and the light crept up between the shutters, and you heard the sparrows in the gutters, you had such a vision of the street as the street hardly understands. Sitting along the bed's edge, where you curled the papers from your hair, or clasped the yellow soles of feet in the palms of both soiled hands. 4. His soul stretched tight across the skies that fade behind a city block, or trampled by insistent feet at 4 and 5 and 6 o'clock, and short square fingers stuffing pipes, and evening newspapers, and eyes assured of certain certainties, the conscience of a blackened street, impatient to assume the world. I am moved by fancies that are curled around these images and cling. The notion of some infinitely gentle, infinitely suffering thing. Wipe your hand across your mouth and laugh. The worlds revolve like ancient women gathering fuel in vacant lots. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Rattling Boy from Dublin by William Topaz McGonigal. Read for Librivox.org by Algie Pug, Perth, Western Australia. The Rattling Boy from Dublin. I'm a rattling boy from Dublin town. I courted a girl called Biddy Brown. Her eyes, they were as black as sloes. She had black hair and an aquiline nose. Chorus. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. One night I met her with another lad. Says I, Biddy, I've caught you, by dad. I never thought you were half so bad as to be going about with another lad. Chorus. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Says I, Biddy, this will never do. For tonight you proved to me untrue, so do not make a hullabaloo, for I will bid farewell to you. Chorus. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Says Barney McGee, she is me lass, and the man that says no, he is an ass. So come away, and I'll give you a glass. Och, sure you can get another lass. Chorus. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Says I, to the devil with your glass, you have taken from me my darling lass, and if you look angry or offer to frown, with my darling shillelagh I'll knock you down. Chorus. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Says Barney McGee unto me, by the hookey, I love Biddy Brown, and before I'll give her up to thee, one or both of us will go down. Chorus. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. So with me darling shillelagh I gave him a whack, which left him lying on his back, saying, botheration to you and Biddy Brown, for I'm the rattling boy from Dublin town. Chorus. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. So a policeman chanced to come up at the time, and he asked of me the cause of the shine. Says I, he threatened to knock me down when I challenged him for working with me Biddy Brown. Chorus. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. So the policeman took Barney McGee to jail, which made him shout and bewail that ever he met with Biddy Brown, the greatest deceiver in Dublin town. Chorus. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. Wak fal di da, fal di darali do. Wak fal di da, fal di darale. So I bid farewell to Biddy Brown, the greatest shooter in Dublin town, because she proved untrue to me, as I was going about with Barney McGee. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sally in Our Alley by Henry Carey. Recorded for Librivox by Nigel Boydell. Of all the girls that are so smart, there's none like pretty Sally. She is the darling of my heart, and she lives in our alley. There is no lady in the land is half as sweet as Sally. She is the darling of my heart, and she lives in our alley. Her father he makes cabbage nets, and through the streets doth cry 'em. Her mother she sells laces long to such as please to buy 'em. But sure such folks could ne'er beget so sweet a girl as Sally. She is the darling of my heart, and she lives in our alley. When she is by, I leave my work, I love her so sincerely. My master comes like any Turk, and bangs me most severely. But let him bang his belly full, I'll bear it all for Sally. She is the darling of my heart, and she lives in our alley. Of all the days that's in the week, I dearly love but one day, and that's the day that comes betwixt a Saturday and a Monday. For then I'm dressed all in my best, to walk abroad with Sally. She is the darling of my heart, and she lives in our alley. My master carries me to church, and often am I blamed, because I leave him in the lurch as soon as text is named. I leave the church in sermon time, and slink away to Sally. She is the darling of my heart, and she lives in my alley. My master and the neighbours all make game of me and Sally, and but for her I'd better be a slave and row a galley. But when my 7 long years are out, oh then I'll marry Sally. Oh then we'll wed, and then we'll bed, but not in our alley. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Sentry by Wilfred Owen. Read for Librivox.org by Winston Tharp. We'd found an old Boche dugout, and he knew, and gave us hell, for shell on frantic shell hammered on top, but never quite burst through. Rain, guttering down in waterfalls of slime, kept slush waist high, that rising hour by hour choked up the steps too thick with clay to climb. What murk of air remained stank old and sour, with fumes of whiz-bangs, and the smell of men who'd lived there years and left their curse in the den, if not their corpses. There we herded from the blast of whiz-bangs, but one found our door at last, buffeting eyes and breath, snuffing the candles, and thud, flump, thud, down the steep steps came thumping and splashing in the flood, deluging muck, the sentry's body, then his rifle, handles of old Boche bombs and mud and ruck on ruck. We dredged him up for killed, until he whined, "Oh, sir, my eyes, I'm blind, I'm blind, I'm blind." Coaxing, I held a flame against his lids, and said if he could see the least blurred light, he was not blind. In time he'd get all right. "I can't," he sobbed. Eyeballs, huge bulged like squids, watch my dreams still. But I forgot him there, posting next for duty, and sending a scout to beg a stretcher somewhere, and floundering about to other posts under the shrieking air. Those other wretches, how they bled and spewed, and one who would have drowned himself for good. I try not to remember these things now. Let dread hark back for one word only, how half listening to that sentry's moans and jumps, and the wild chattering of his broken teeth, renewed most horribly whenever crumps pummeled the roof and slogged the air beneath. Through the dense din, I say, we heard him shout, "I see your lights!" But ours had long died out. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
She Walks in Beauty Like the Night by George Gordon Noel, Lord Byron. Read for Librivox.org by Charlie Harrison. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes, thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens o'er her face. Where thoughts serenely sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place, and on that cheek and o'er that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Sleeper by Walter de la Mare, read for Librivox.org by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. As Anne came in one summer's day, she felt that she must creep, so silent was the clear, cool house, it seemed a house of sleep. And sure, when she pushed open the door, wrapped in the stillness there, her mother sat with stooping head, asleep upon a chair, fast, fast asleep, her two hands laid loose folded on her knee, so that her small unconscious face looked half unreal to be. So calmly lit with sleep's pale light each feature was, so fair her forehead, every trouble was smoothed out beneath her hair. But though her mind in dream now moved, still seemed her gaze to rest from out beneath her fast sealed lids, above her moving breast, on Anne, as quite still she stood. Yet slumber lay so deep, even her hands upon her lap seemed saturate with sleep. And as Anne peeped, a cloud-like dread stole over her, and then on stealthy mouse-like feet she trod, and tiptoed out again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Song of the Old Mother by William Butler Yeats. Read for Librivox.org by Jessica Abbott. I rise in the dawn and I kneel and blow, till the seed of the fire flicker and glow. Then I must scrub and bake and sweep, till stars are beginning to blink and peep. And the young lie long and dream in their bed, of the matching ribbons for bosom and head. And the day goes over in idleness, and they sigh if the wind but lift a tress, while I must work because I am old, and the seed of the fire gets feeble and cold. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnet 29 by William Shakespeare. Read for Librivox.org by Carol Box in Surrey, England on the 3rd of May 2011. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself, and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnet after the death of Cecchino Bracci by Michelangelo Buonarroti, translated by John Addington Symonds. Read for Librivox.org by Martin Geeson. To Luigi del Riccio. Scarce had I seen for the first time his eyes, which to your living eyes were life and light, when closed at last in death's injurious night, he opened them on God in paradise. I know it, and I weep, too late made wise. Yet was the fault not mine, for death's fell spite robbed my desire of that supreme delight, which in your better memory never dies. Therefore, Luigi, if the task be mine to make unique Cecchino smile in stone forever, now that earth hath made him dim, if the beloved within the lover shine, since art without him cannot work alone, you must I carve to tell the world of him. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Sonnet of the Moon by Charles Bast. Read for Librivox by Bernadette in Bergen, Norway. Look how the pale queen of the silent night doth cause the ocean to attend upon her, and he, as long as she is in his sight, with her full tide is ready her to honour. But when the silver waggon of the moon is mounted up so high he cannot follow, the sea calls home his crystal waves to moan, and with low ebb doth manifest his sorrow. So you, that are the sovereign of my heart, have all my joys attending on your will, my joys low ebbing when you do depart. When you return, their tide my heart doth fill. So as you come and as you do depart, joys ebb and flow within my tender heart. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Spirit of Life by Unknown. Translated by Dr. A. McG. Bede. Read for Librivox.org by Lars Rolander. Spirit of Life. Spirit of life in things above, and lovelier in things below, we pray to thee, all-being love, spontaneous in our hearts to grow. Our Father Life, we live in thee, and pray for glory which is thine, and by our living may we be as thou art in the life divine. The trees and flowers and water springs are singing good old songs of mirth, so may we sing while music brings the good old joy over all the earth. Spirit of life, sing on, sing on, sing till our aching hearts find rest, and anxious fear is past and gone, and like the rivers we are blessed. The earth is singing, hark the song, the whispering breeze is floating by, the water streams gliding along, reflecting faces in the sky. Spirit of life, we worship thee, with water streams and trees and flowers, so may our new-born spirits be as thou art, and thy glory ours. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Strange Meeting by Wilfred Owen. Read for Librivox.org by Algie Pugg, Perth, Western Australia. It seemed that out of the battle I escaped down some profound dull tunnel, long since scooped through granites which titanic wars had groined. Yet also there encumbered sleepers groaned, too fast in thought or death to be bestirred. Then, as I probed them, one sprang up and stared with piteous recognition in fixed eyes, lifting distressful hands as if to bless, and by his smile I knew that sullen hall, and by his dead smile I knew we stood in hell, with 1,000 fears that vision's face was grained. Yet no blood reached there from the upper ground, and no guns thumped, or down the flues made moan. "Strange, friend," I said, "here is no cause to mourn." "None," said the other, "save the undone years, the hopelessness. Whatever hope is yours was my life also. I went hunting wild after the wildest beauty in the world, which lies not calm in eyes or braided hair, but mocks the steady running of the hour, and if it grieves, grieves richlier than here, for by my glee might many men have laughed, and of my weeping something has been left, which must die now. I mean the truth untold, the pity of war, the pity war distilled. Now men will go content with what we spoiled, or, discontent, boil bloody, and be spilled. They will be swift with swiftness of the tigress, none will break ranks, though nations trek from progress. Courage was mine, and I had mystery. Wisdom was mine, and I had mastery, to miss the march of this retreating world into vain citadels that are not walled. Then, when much blood had clogged their chariot wheels, I would go up and wash them from sweet wells, even with truths that lie too deep for taint. I would have poured my spirit without stint, but not through wounds, not on the cess of war. Foreheads of men have bled where no wounds were. I am the enemy you killed, my friend. I knew you in this dark. For so you frowned yesterday through me, as you jabbed and killed. I parried, but my hands were loath and cold. Let us sleep now. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Summary History of Sir William Wallace by William Topaz McGonigal. Read for Librivox.org by Algie Pugg, Perth, Western Australia. A Summary History of Sir William Wallace. Sir William Wallace of Ellerslie, I'm told he went to the high school in Dundee, for to learn to read and write, and after that he learned to fight. While at the high school in Dundee, the provost's son with him disagree, because Wallace did wear a dirk, he despised him like an ignorant stirk, which with indignation he keenly felt, and told him it would become him better in his belt. Then Wallace's blood began to boil, just like the serpent in its coil, before it leaps upon its prey. And unto him he thus did say, Proud saucy cur, come cease your prate, for no longer shall I wait for to hear you insult me at the high school in Dundee, for such insolence makes my heart to smart, and I'll plunge my dagger in your heart. Then his heart's blood did quickly flow, and poor Wallace did not know where to go, and he stood by him until dead. Then far from him he quickly fled, lamenting greatly the deed he had done, the murdering of the provost's son. The scene shifts to where he was fishing on day, where 3 English soldiers met him by the way, and they asked him for to give them some fish, and from them they would make a delicious dish. Then Wallace gave them share of his fish, for to satisfy their wish. But they seemed dissatisfied with the share they got, so they were resolved to have all a lot. Then Wallace he thought it was time to look out, when they were resolved to have all his trout. So he swung his fishing rod with great force round his head, and struck all of them a blow that killed him dead. So he instantly seized the fallen man's sword, and the other 2 fled without uttering a word. Sir William Wallace of Ellerslie, you were a warrior of great renown, and might have worn Scotland's crown, had it not been for Monteith, the base traitor knave, that brought you to a premature grave. Yes, you were sold for English gold, and brought like a sheep from the fold, to die upon a shameful scaffold high, amidst the derisive shouts of your enemies standing by. But you met your doom like a warrior bold, bidding defiance to them that had you sold, and bared your neck for the headsman's stroke, and cried, Marian dear, my heart is broke. My lovely dear, I come to thee, oh, I am longing thee to see. But the headsman was as stolid as the rock, and the axe fell heavily on the block, and the scaffold did shake with a terrible shock, as the body of noble Wallace fell, who had fought for Scotland so well. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To the Sundial by John Quincy Adams. Read for Librivox.org by Chris. Under the window of the hall of the House of Representatives of the United States. Thou silent herald of time's silent flight, say, couldst thou speak, without warning voice were thine, shade who canst only show how others shine, dark sullen witness of resplendent light, in day's broad glare, and when the noontide bright of laughing fortune sheds the ray divine, thy ready favours cheer us, but decline the clouds of morning and the gloom of night. Yet are thy counsels faithful, just, and wise. They bid us seize the moments as they pass, snatch the retrieveless sunbeam as it flies, nor loose one sand of life's revolving glass, aspiring still with energy sublime, by virtuous deeds to give eternity to time. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To Virgil by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Read for Librivox.org by Steve Perkins. Written at the request of the Mantuans for the 19th centenary of Virgil's death. Roman Virgil, thou that singest Ilion's lofty temples robed in fire, Ilion falling, Rome arising, wars and filial faith, and Dido's pyre. Landscape lover, lord of language, more than he that sang the works and days, all the chosen coin of fancy flashing out from many a golden phrase. Thou that singest wheat and woodland, tilth and vineyard, hive and horse and herd, all the charm of all the muses, often flowering in a lonely word. Poet of the happy Tityrus, piping underneath his beechen bowers, poet of the poet satyr, whom the laughing shepherd bound with flowers. Chanter of the Palio, glorying in the blissful years again to be, summers of the snakeless meadow, unlaborious earth, and oarless sea. Thou that seest universal nature moved by universal mind, thou majestic in thy sadness, at the doubtful doom of humankind. Light among the vanished ages, star that gildest yet this phantom shore, golden branch amid the shadows, kings and realms that pass to rise no more. Now thy forum roars no longer, fallen every purple Caesar's dome, though thine ocean roll of rhythm sound forever of imperial Rome. Now the Rome of slaves hath perished, and the Rome of freemen holds her place. I from out the northern island, sundered once from all the human race. I salute thee, Mantovano, I that loved thee since my day began, wielder of the stateliest measure, ever moulded by the lips of man. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Wants of Man by John Quincy Adams. Read for Librivox.org by Chris. Man wants little here below, nor wants that little long. 'Tis not with me exactly so, but 'tis so in the song. My wants are many, and, if told, would muster many a score. And were each wish a mint of gold, I still should long for more. What first I want is daily bread, and canvas backs, and wine, and all the realms of nature spread before me when I dine. 4 courses scarcely can provide my appetite so quell, with 4 choice cooks from France beside, to dress my dinner well. What next I want at princely cost is elegant attire, black sable furs for winter's frost, and silks for summer's fire, and cashmere shawls and Brussels lace my bosom's front to deck, and diamond rings my hands to grace, and rubies for my neck. I want, who does not want, a wife, affectionate and fair, to solace all the woes of life, and all its joys to share. of temper sweet, of yielding will, of firm yet placid mind, with all my faults to love me still, with sentiment refined. And as time's car incessant runs, and fortune fills my store, I want of daughters and of sons, from 8 to half a score. I want, alas, can mortal dare such bliss on earth to crave, that all the girls be chaste and fair, the boys all wise and brave. I want a warm and faithful friend, to cheer the adverse hour, who near to flatter will descend, nor bend the knee to power. A friend to chide me when I'm wrong, my inmost soul to see, and that my friendship prove as strong for him as his for me. I want the seals of power in place, the ensigns of command, charged by the people's unbought grace to rule my native land. Nor crown nor sceptre would I ask, but from my country's will, by day by night to ply the task, her cup of bliss to fill. I want the voice of honest praise to follow me behind, and to be thought in future days the friend of humankind, that after ages as they rise, exulting may proclaim, in choral union to the skies, their blessing on my name. These are the wants of mortal man, I cannot want them long, for life itself is but a span, and earthly bliss a song. My last great want, absorbing all, is when beneath the sod, and summoned to my final call, the mercy of my God. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.